How the hell did we get here? You'd think toxic food would be the last thing a country would let slide, but in the US, it's practically stamped with approval. Restaurants get fined for dirty kitchens, but the real danger is what's already been greenlit on the label. The stuff hiding in your favorite snacks isn't just a little shady, it's outright disturbing. Chemicals, additives, and processes that sound like sci-fi experiments gone wrong. Doritos, Cheez-Its, Cap'n Crunch, Gummy bears, they're not just junk food, they're poison in disguise. Across the ocean, some of this stuff is banned outright, but here, still stacked high in every pantry, quietly messing with people's health, like canned mushrooms, for example. There's a reason some folks turn their nose up at them, and it's not because they're picky. Inside that can, you're not just getting mushrooms, you're getting maggots and mites. Yes, real ones, completely legal thanks to the FDA. The rules say up to 20 maggots in every 600 grams is fine. Some grow longer than a fingernail clipping. Alongside them, up to 75 mites per 100 grams. By the time you pop the lid, you've got a bug buffet waiting to be served. They're small, sure, but that doesn't mean harmless. Maggots can carry bacteria from decaying matter. And once they're in your food, no amount of heating will scrub that mental image from your brain. Fresh mushrooms might take longer to cook, but at least they don't come crawling with extras. The price of convenience is control. You give it up the second you crack open that can. And mushrooms are just the start. Now, take ketchup, a fridge staple. Looks innocent, right? But that sweet, tangy stuff hides a mess of health bombs. Every squirt is sugar-heavy. A few tablespoons, and you're already swallowing more sugar than you think. That sugar, along with high fructose corn syrup, builds up fat, boosts the odds of heart disease, and ramps up triglyceride levels. Not to mention the salt. Ketchup's loaded with it. Sodium is a silent assassin. It inflames joints, strains kidneys, and builds up calcium until you're dealing with stones the size of marbles. The acidity doesn't help either. If you've got a sensitive stomach, that bottle of ketchup might as well be a ticking time bomb. Preservatives keep it shelf-ready for months, but the cost? Insulin spikes, blood sugar chaos, and an increased risk of diabetes. And yet, people pour it on like it's harmless, all for flavor that ends up turning your body into a battleground. Hot dogs, they're America's go-to snack, but crack one open, and it's a Frankenstein monster of mystery meat and science lab ingredients. It starts with a paste called meat emulsion. Sounds high-end, but it's just scraps ground into goo. Pork, beef, poultry. It's all mashed together with fat, chemicals, and spices until it barely resembles food. Leftover gristle, veins, connective tissue. Nothing is wasted. Some factories use machines to scrape bones clean, dragging in bits of cartilage and blood vessels. It's then laced with sodium nitrite to keep that bright, meaty color. The trade-off? Increased risk of colon and stomach cancers. Add saturated fats and sky-high sodium, and now you've got a direct line to heart disease and obesity. And the kicker? Human DNA has been found in samples. Hygiene in these factories is questionable. It's not just the meat you need to worry about. Even some veggie dogs aren't safe from contamination. Next time someone offers you a hot dog at a barbecue, remember, it might come with a side of regret. And what about burgers? Just a patty, bun, and some lettuce, right? Not even close. Fast food burgers are ticking time bombs. One meal can easily break 1,000 calories before you even glance at the fries. They're dripping in saturated fats and salt, which tear up your arteries and crank up your blood pressure. But the shocker? The meat itself often comes from multiple animals, sometimes from different countries. That combo boosts the chance of E. coli and other bacteria sneaking through the cracks. Factories use pink slime, yep, beef treated with ammonia, to stretch the supply. Sounds like science fiction, but it's real. That ammonia's meant to kill bacteria, but it leaves behind a chemical legacy in every bite. Artificial flavors and preservatives are dumped in to make it look and taste like something you'd want to eat, but it's a lie, dressed in sesame seeds and cheese. Now, buckle up, because we're not done. Kopi Luwak coffee is a luxury for the clueless. It costs more than gold per ounce, and people rave about how smooth it tastes. But how it gets made is pure nightmare fuel. The beans are eaten by civets, little wild animals in Southeast Asia, and then collected from their droppings. Yes, literal poop coffee. That alone is enough to turn some stomachs, but the real horror is how these animals are treated. On farms, they're crammed into cages, force-fed coffee cherries, starved of nutrition, and left to rot in stress. They're nocturnal and solitary, but are kept awake for tourists to snap photos. Many die slowly from disease or malnutrition. And the cherry on top? Most Kopi Luwak on the market is fake. Sellers pawn off regular beans for sky-high prices, and even the real stuff tastes worse than beans selected naturally by wild civets. So you're paying a premium for cruelty, deception, and poop. Energy drinks are marketed like liquid lightning, fast, flashy, and powerful. But inside, they're more like a Molotov cocktail aimed at your heart. Just one can pack triple the caffeine of coffee. That leads to heart palpitations, anxiety, even cardiac arrest if you've got underlying issues. And don't forget the sugar. It's soda on steroids, pushing blood sugar to dangerous heights. Some brands swap in fake sugars, like aspartame, but those can mess with your gut and metabolism too. The acid in these drinks eats away at your teeth, while ingredients like taurine and guarana rev up your system until it crashes. Artificial colors and preservatives round out the chemical stew. The result? Tooth decay, insomnia, mood swings, and in worst-case scenarios, a trip to the ER. And yet, teens pound them daily without thinking twice. Let's talk gummy candy. It's cute, colorful, and chewy, but your stomach doesn't think it's fun. These little candies are made with gelatin, synthetic dyes, and enough sugar to send you into orbit. Once swallowed, they soak up water and turn into gummy bricks inside your gut. That means bloating, stomach pain, and constipation. Meanwhile, your blood sugar goes on a roller coaster, and your dentist starts planning a new vacation home. The food dyes? Some are banned in other countries due to links with hyperactivity, allergic reactions, and worse. What looks like innocent candy is a chemical cocktail hiding in plain sight. Next comes a surprise: vanilla. It's everywhere. Ice cream, cookies, perfumes. But what you think is a luxurious extract from delicate orchids is usually cooked up in a lab. And one of its older ingredients? Castoreum, a secretion from a beaver's butt glands. Not joking. While it's rarely used now, it was once common enough to make you question every scoop of vanilla ice cream. Modern fake vanilla comes from things like wood pulp or even petroleum byproducts. Tastes like vanilla, acts like a chemical, gives you none of the benefits of real vanilla and all the baggage of industrial waste. Farmed shrimp is next, and it's far more than just a seafood shortcut. To keep them alive in dirty, overcrowded ponds, they're pumped with antibiotics banned in several countries. The same drugs that save lives in hospitals, they lose their power when overused in shrimp farming. Then there's the chemical glaze, used to keep shrimp looking fresh, but known to cause allergies and gut issues. The industry also wrecks the planet. Mangrove forests are bulldozed, releasing carbon and destroying habitats. Waste and chemicals leak into surrounding waters, creating dead zones where nothing can survive. Even wild shrimps aren't safe. Trawling destroys coral reefs and kills unintended animals like sea turtles and dolphins. Add in forced labor and child exploitation, and suddenly, that shrimp cocktail doesn't feel so fancy anymore. Fish sticks? They're a greasy lie in a crispy jacket, usually made from farmed fish crammed in tanks full of filth, fed on grain-based slop instead of a natural diet. They're pre-fried in garbage oils that load them up with trans fats. Then comes the sodium, enough to spike your blood pressure before you even chew. Sometimes, they don't even tell you what kind of fish is inside. Now, let's dive into the open sea, literally. Industrial fishing is more like marine plundering. Ships drag mile-wide nets, scooping up everything. Sharks, turtles, dolphins, and most of it is tossed overboard dead. Filthy decks, unsanitary conditions, and cross-contamination are par for the course. By the time that fish hits your plate, it's had a rough ride through ice mixed with blood and guts, handled by people working in conditions most health inspectors would faint over. Now, chewing gum seems innocent, right? Until you find out one of its softening agents is lanolin, oil from sheep's wool. Gum is now made with synthetic rubber, adhesives, and resins found in tires and glue. Some even contain titanium dioxide, a whitening agent also used in sunscreen. The label doesn't even have to tell you what's inside. Gum base is code for don't ask. Next, red dye. Bright red treats are often made with crushed bugs. Carmine, from cochineal insects, is a common coloring agent in yogurts and candies. Not a problem unless you're allergic. Then it's hospital time. Prefer the synthetic version? That would be Red 40, which comes from Petroleum. That's right, oil. Linked to behavioral issues and possibly worse, it's still used in food, drinks, even medicine, and margarine, marketed as the butter alternative of the future, is practically a chemistry experiment gone wrong. Vegetable oils are extracted using chemicals like hexane, then hydrogenated to become spreadable. This process births trans fats, the stuff that clogs arteries and spikes disease risk. To cover up the foul taste, it's bleached, deodorized, and dyed yellow. Flavored with lab-created butter aroma, loaded with omega-6s, synthetic emulsifiers, and preservatives linked to cancer and inflammation. And we'll finish with bread. Something so basic has become a lab project. Real bread has 4 ingredients. Store-bought loaves, dozens. Some are softened with L-cysteine, a dough conditioner often made from human hair swept up from salon floors. Others are bleached with ADA, a chemical found in yoga mats. They're pumped with sugar, stripped of fiber, and packed with preservatives that can mess with your gut and even your brain. Bread shouldn't require a chemistry degree to understand, but here we are. You've seen the tip of the iceberg, but now we're going even deeper. Foods sold with clean labels and innocent marketing are often the most deceptive. They sit quietly in your kitchen, looking wholesome, while tearing your body apart one bite at a time. Take breakfast cereals, the kind labeled whole grain, low fat, or fortified with vitamins. Sounds like something a doctor would recommend, right? But these boxes are loaded with hidden sugars and sneaky chemicals designed to bypass your defenses. It's not just about sugar anymore, it's the pesticides baked into every flake. Many cereals contain grains sprayed with glyphosate, a weed killer linked to everything from hormone disruption to cancer. It's the same chemical found in commercial herbicide, and traces of it have been discovered in popular cereal brands marketed directly to kids. It gets worse. These cereals are often enriched, which sounds healthy until you realize it means nutrients were stripped during processing, then added back in synthetic form. That synthetic iron, it's not easily absorbed. That B vitamin mix, it's often lab-created from coal tar derivatives and petrochemicals. So you're not just eating cereal, you're eating a science experiment dressed up in a cartoon character. RFK Jr. has also flagged fruit juices as a hidden danger. You might think you're making a good choice with 100% real juice, but that's only half the story. Most juices are pasteurized at high heat, killing off any real nutritional value. What's left is sugar water with just enough fruit extract to keep up appearances. Some companies even use flavor packs, lab-made scent, and taste boosters that mimic fresh squeezed juice but have zero nutritional benefit. You'd be better off eating the fruit, but that's not how the juice industry makes money. And speaking of fruit, let's talk about apples. America's most eaten fruit is often one of the dirtiest. Conventionally grown apples are drenched in pesticides. More than 30 different kinds in a single bite. Even after washing, traces of fungicides and insect repellents remain embedded in the waxy skin. It's not just a bug problem, it's a cocktail of chemicals designed to keep the fruit looking fresh through long shipping and storage. That polished apple in your lunchbox could carry the residue of neurotoxic compounds banned in other countries. Then there's rice, a global staple that's quietly hiding something few talk about. Arsenic. Inorganic arsenic, a known carcinogen, is found in shockingly high levels in both brown and white rice, especially those grown in former cotton fields where arsenic-based pesticides were once sprayed. Even organic rice isn't immune. The soil contamination lingers for decades. When you eat rice regularly, especially from questionable sources, you're ingesting trace levels of a toxin that builds up over time and has been tied to heart disease, kidney problems, and developmental delays in children. Let's talk about protein bars and seed oils, two health traps hiding in plain sight. Protein bars may look like smart fuel, but they're often loaded with synthetic junk. Isolated soy protein treated with hexane? Check. Sugar alcohols and artificial fibers that mess with your gut? Also check. They might look nutritious, but your stomach knows better. Then there's the seed oil epidemic. Canola, soybean, sunflower. These heavily processed oils are in nearly every packaged food. They're rich in omega-6 fats that inflame the body, disrupt hormones, and wreck your cells from the inside out. Even healthy snacks aren't safe. Seed oils sneak in and silently sabotage your system, linking directly to obesity, heart problems, and even mood swings. Plant-based meat substitutes are another trap. Promoted as ethical and sustainable, these imitation meats are built in factories using ingredients that sound like they belong in a chemistry set. Isolated pea protein, methyl cellulose, and natural flavors, which can include synthetic solvents and MSG derivatives. These products are often so processed that the nutritional label becomes meaningless. What started as a bean or grain ends up as a manipulated food-like substance with altered DNA, cooked in seed oils, and preserved with lab-designed chemicals. Let's not skip over flavored yogurt. It may look like a healthy snack, protein, probiotics, fruit, but the truth is murkier. Most flavored yogurts are packed with more sugar than ice cream. The fruit, often not even real. It's processed pulp with corn syrup, coloring, and synthetic flavor enhancers. The live cultures advertised on the label are often killed during pasteurization. So instead of a gut-healing probiotic boost, you're getting dessert dressed in health food drag. And water, the thing we all need, isn't off the hook either. Bottled water, especially from plastic containers, often contains microplastics. Studies show these tiny plastic particles can leach from the bottle into the water over time, especially when exposed to heat. Once inside the body, microplastics don't dissolve. They accumulate in organs and may disrupt hormones, contribute to inflammation, and even trigger immune responses. Some bottled water brands have tested positive for heavy metals and FAS, forever chemicals linked to cancer and immune dysfunction. So, when you think you're hydrating, you might also be sipping on slow poison. Even gluten-free foods can be misleading. Many are made with refined starches and chemical binders that spike blood sugar and disrupt digestion. Ready-made salad kits seem healthy, but often include chlorine-treated greens, hydrogenated oils, sugary dressings, and preservatives. What looks like a clean choice might be loaded with harmful ingredients, making it worse for your body than the junk food you're trying to avoid. Even nut milks, almond, oat, cashew aren't always safe. Most are watered down, then bulked up with emulsifiers, stabilizers, synthetic vitamins, and gums. Carrageenan, used to improve texture, has been linked to gut inflammation and even colon damage. Some almond milks contain so little almond that it's flavored water. And oat milk? It's often high in added sugars and processed with enzymes that break down starch into maltose, a sugar that spikes insulin levels fast. So, what looks like a dairy-free, plant-based miracle ends up as a sugar bomb with barely any nutrition. And let's talk spices. Yes, even spices. Cheap spice blends can be contaminated with heavy metals like lead, especially when imported from countries with weak regulations. Some paprika, turmeric, and chili powders have tested positive for lead contamination, which builds up in the body and damages the brain and nervous system. Spices can also be cut with fillers like starch or dyed with banned colorants to appear more vibrant. What you think is flavor might be a cocktail of paint and poison. The more you look, the clearer it gets. The problem isn't just junk food anymore. It's breakfast, lunch, snacks, and drinks. It's the healthy stuff in your fridge, the premium products on your shelf, and the clean label options in your cart. Next time you walk through a grocery store, remember this: the most dangerous foods aren't the ones that scream for attention. They're the ones that blend in, because poison, when disguised as health food, does more than make you sick. It makes you trust the very thing that's killing you. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.